CM 365, all about Carnatic music. Ragamalikas are very interesting compositions in the domain of Carnatic music. In fact, they are very unique to Carnatic music, I would say, because in Hindustani music and all, you don't have this concept of Ragamalika as such as part of the compositions. Now, if you look at this Ragamalika, we see that earlier also I had discussed some aspects about it. Today we look at it from a different angle. The concept of Ragamalika actually is as old as the concept of Raga itself, because we see that earlier it was referred to as Raga Kadambaka. And there are different stages of development, I would say, as far as the Ragamalika is concerned in terms of its evolution. The first is, of course, the Ragamalika, wherein the sections are in different ragas. This is the basic format of any Ragamalika. The name itself signifies that if there are a number of stanzas, each one has to be in a particular raga, one different from the other. So that is what makes it a Ragamalika, that is a garland of ragas. Now this Ragamalika, which we see commonly, we see that even unknown composers compose compositions in the format of Ragamalika, where you use the different names of ambals and other things, where each of the names signifies the ragam also, and each one of the stanzas get tuned to a different ragam. But if you look methodically, there are different stages here. Apart from the fact that each of the stanzas are in different ragas, you see that scholarly Ragamalikas are there, where the second stage of development here is of introducing the Raga Mudra in the various sections. Of course, this is also commonly seen now, because it's very interesting also the way the Raga Mudra gets incorporated within the particular section. And that makes for interesting listening also, because as you keep listening, you are seeing the change of raga happening in the singing, and at the same time, you are also able to identify the name of the ragam being incorporated in the Sahitya also. And the next thing, of course, is about the additional angas in some of the Ragamalikas, like that of Dikshadhar, where you see there are Chittaswaras, Makutaswaras, etc. Then there are also Viloma Chittaswaras, especially in the I had made a mention about it also when I talked about Chaturdasha Ragamalika, where it is one of the most highly crafted kind of Ragamalika. I would say a tremendous thought process has gone into that particular composition, and to study itself is a big Herculean task, because there are so many aspects which are revealed by this particular Ragamalika in terms of how a Ragamalika actually should be. That is, first thing, of course, each of the sections in different ragas, then after that the name of the raga getting incorporated, then having Chittaswaras and the Vilomaswaras. So all this ideally you can see in this Chaturdasha Ragamalika. Of course, there are many more examples for this like this. Then of course we also have the Sahitya for Chittaswaras and Makutaswaras. So the Ragamalika as such, we could say that there are different formats. Like in a Kriti, we could say that here also we have different formats. And also we see that in common, when you hear it in kacheris, you would have observed that originally some compositions are not composed as Ragamalikas, but these passages are later tuned by somebody else as a Ragamalika. Now, the purpose of making it a Ragamalika is also the fact that the Sahitya of each of the stanzas is very important, and nothing can be actually deleted as such. So, to keep up that Sahitya content intact, what they have done is they have put each stanza in different ragas so that we don't delete any of this while rendering. For this, you could take an example of the compositions of like Mahakavi Subramanya Bharatiyar, where you see that there are many compositions like Mata Parashakti Vayyamalam, where you have 4 stanzas, and each one is generally set in a different ragam, so that it is made interesting in terms of the raga, and also the lyrics gets focused very well through the transition from one raga to another. I'll also share with you some of the other though we are familiar with only a few such Ragamalikas, we see that even before the time of Dikshadhar, his father Ramaswamy Dikshadhar himself has composed so many precious Ragamalikas for us. Of course, they do not find place in kacheris, so you may not have heard them much, but I will just like to make a mention of some of the composers of these Ragamalikas and just share how many ragas each of these particular Ragamalika consists of. These are all, I would say, a labor of love only for composing, a labor of love a passion for music that has made all these people compose such beautiful compositions for us. So it would also be nice, I suppose, if musicians could revive these particular Ragamalikas and make them a part of kacheris. And as Rasikas also, you should develop a ear for such beautiful compositions. Okay, coming to the one of the most important compositions of Ramaswamy Dikshidhar, we see that he has composed one Ragamalika called Samajagamini, which is in 19 ragas and set in Aditalam. He has also composed another one in 38 ragas, which starts like Shiva Mohana Shakti. And next, he seems to be improving further and further, and then he goes to compose in 48 ragas, and that is in Rupaka Talam, and that is known as Manasaveri. It starts off with the words Manasaveri. Then he has also composed another Ashtadasha Ragamalika. The name itself signifies that this particular composition is in 18 ragas. Now, coming to Sri Muthuswamy Dikshidhar, all of us are very familiar with only his Chaturdasha Ragamalika, which is of course in 14 ragas, but he's also composed other Ragamalikas like Purna Chandra Bimba Vijaya in 6 ragas, Simhasana Sthite in 4 ragas, and he's also, apart from this, we see that other composers who have composed Ragamalikas, Swati Tirunal, who has composed the Dashavatara Ragamalika in 10 ragas. Then we also come to know of another beautiful composition, Nitya Kalyani, which is composed in 8 ragas by Todi Sitaramayya. Then we also have what is called as the Shodasha Ragamalika, which is in 16 ragas composed by Tiruvattriyur Tyaga Ayyar. Then apart from this, we see there is a Navaratna Ragamalika, which is composed by Manambuchadi Venkatasubba Ayyar. And talking about Ragamalika, we also mentioned earlier in one of the episodes about the Navaragamalika Varnam, composed by Patnam Subramanya Ayyar. Then you must have also heard the popular composition Ar Abhimanam Vaitadaripayanne Ananda Bhairavi, which is in 16 ragams and composed by Tarangambadi Panchanada Ayyar. Then we have the monumental Ragamalika composed by Sri Maha Vaidyanatha Ayyar in the 72 Melagarthas, which is known as the 72 Mela Ragamalika. That is starting from Kanakangi. All the 72 ragas come in their same order in this particular composition. And it's a marathon effort, I would say, a monumental composition, a treasure that has been given to us by Sri Mahavaidyanath Iyer in terms of understanding all these ragas in their, the Lakshana of these ragas. Then we come to another Navaratna Malika composed by Subbarama Dikshidhar in 9 ragas. Then we have another 72 Raganga Raga Malika composed by Subbarama Dikshidhar and Krishna Kavi, that is also in 72 ragas. Then apart from this, we also have other compositions, a Ragamalika Swarajati by Swati Tirunal in 5 ragas. Then we have a Ragamalika Padam by Sarangapani again in this several ragas put together as a garland. Then we have a Ragamalika Tarangam in 5 ragas composed by Narayana Tirthar. The dhatu has been composed by Narayana Tirthar, but the tune for this set by Tiruvattriyur Tyaga Iyer. Like this, we see that Ragamalika, there are so many actually, much more, many more are there. You can just go and see what are the other Ragamalikas composed by other composers. The basic idea, of course, in Ragamalika, as I said, is the transition from one raga to other, which gives a distinct and a different flavor each time. So what happens is that when you are traveling from one raga to another, it's very interesting for the listener also in terms of trying to identify the ragam, and also different moods and colors are conveyed within the same composition, in a Ragamalika. That's a speciality. For example, if you take a Kriti in Saveri, it will only convey Saveri. Whereas if you have a Ragamalika which is in 8 ragas or 10 ragas, there are different kinds of flavors of ragas that you get to enjoy within a particular composition itself. That's why that way you could say that Ragamalikas are very interesting, informative and enlightening compositions in Carnatic music.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.